Hello. I am going to walk myself through coaching so that you can kind of get an idea of what it's like and to also just, help you see what things are going on in our brains and how we can, work through them and not have to suffer through, having these terrible thoughts and being frustrated and exhausted from thinking all these crazy thoughts. So, first things first, I'm just going to warn you that my brain is whack. I think that when I die, they should donate my brain to like science to test for like the person that was most afraid of failure and most negative and like heard all of this negativity in her brain. So I'm going to warn you, if you think I'm crazy, I'm crazy. But I'm sure there's a lot of other moms out there experiencing the same kind of craziness. So here goes. So the first step of coaching yourself is to just get it all out on paper. It's called a thought download. And you just tell your story of what happened. And then we'll go and we'll get the facts out because, like, when we have a story of what happened, it is, um, flooded with our thoughts about what's happening, our perspective, what we think other people think about it. All of these other things are, just getting in there. So we're going to identify the facts just to get clean on like what actually happened. And then just start asking questions about like to clear some things up and like understand why we're thinking what we're thinking and how we could possibly get to a better place so that we're not like suffering, right? So let's get started. So my thought download is, yesterday I talked to my son's counselor on the phone and, we talked about his behavior in class and, I think that some of the teachers are, constantly just like laser focused on what he's doing wrong. And every now and then I hear from a teacher, what he's doing right. But for the most part, it's just like everything he's doing wrong. And I had an experience where, this one teacher went off on my son. And then she called me that day to kind of cover her own behind and was like, yeah, this happened. And, blah, 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 blah. And when I learned what actually happened from my son, which it happened in front of like the deputy of the school. So there's someone to back up, even the deputy said she overreacted. And she said things like, she cringes when my son is in her unit and he was bad. She said things about him being a bully, this kind of stuff. And so, needless to say, I was livid. So when this counselor, I'm talking to her, she tells me, I want to take him out of the class and, find ways to work around him not being in that class. And, she mentioned that he needed coping skills and that, you don't want to take him out of the class. He needs to learn coping skills. No, I was like, no. Yeah, I love coping skills. I want my son to learn coping skills, but I don't want him to be forced to learn coping skills from people that don't have coping skills. Am I right or am I right or am I right? So this all happened. And like after the conversation, I just felt so drained and exhausted. And I even like went and took a nap and I just felt down the rest of the day. And, when I was walking the dogs with my husband, I was just like, I kept repeating myself that like I was, I was really glad that I had said, he's not going to learn coping skills from this teacher, definitely. So I'm not going to force him. And I was really glad that I said that and I stood up for myself. But, there's just still a part of me, I think, that is wondering, what does she think? I'm pulling my kid out of this class. and I look like I'm trying to baby my son. And so I just feel exhausted from that, right? So there's like everything that happened. The facts are, she said he should learn coping skills. I said he doesn't need to learn them there. But what I'm thinking about it is that she thinks that I'm a bad parent because I'm taking him out of this class, and I shouldn't take him out of this class, and that he should stay in this class and learn coping skills. So, and this is a problem that I've had a lot, is just like what other people think. And, some of the questions that can be helpful when you're worried about what other people think is like, in what ways are they right? And, the way that she's right is that, he does need coping skills, right? Everybody needs coping skills. He is obviously causing me problems. He's doing things that are not considered good behavior. And, he needs to learn how to not have this bad behavior, right? I don't want to baby him, right? I don't want him to continue to have this bad behavior. I don't want him to grow up and not have coping skills, right? Know how to deal with people that are negative, right? But I think in what ways she's wrong. And the way that she's wrong is, my son can learn coping skills somewhere else. It doesn't have to be in that school. I think in actuality, my son might be learning the opposite of coping skills from this teacher. And why would I continue to, force that? And I think where I am getting so stopped up is that, what she thinks about me, and who cares what she thinks about me? Who cares what she thinks about my son? She might not even think about my son, right? She might not even think about me, but I'm so caught up, and really it's what I'm thinking, right? It's not even what she's thinking, because she might not even be thinking that. I'm like making this up in my mind. So how do I not? Okay, so what she thinks. Let's go back to the facts. So she said he should learn coping skills. And I think she thinks I'm a bad parent. Which, when I think that thought, I feel uncertain. And what I was doing yesterday and even this morning was, continuing to question my decision that we should, have him drop out of the class. I am, ruminating and constantly just thinking and, spending my mental energy trying to get validation, and that I'm right and she's wrong. And talking to my husband during our walk, just trying to get him to like agree with me. And I took a nap after the call because I just like wanted to stop thinking about it. I just was like drained almost. And I wanted to avoid that feeling of uncertainty, right? And it just kept repeating in my head. I even like wanted to call my sister last night and just be like, guess what happened? And blah, 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 talk more and get validation for this, that I was right and she's wrong, just to make me feel better and to stop making me think that I'm a bad parent, and to, make me think that she's wrong and thinking that I'm a bad parent. But again, remember, I just made that thought up that she thinks I'm a bad parent. What I'm not doing also is good to look at. I'm not like focusing on other things. I'm not like moving on. I'm not able to, do my work without it running in the back of my head, or walk the dogs. I'm not thinking of solutions like, oh, what are some other ways he can learn coping skills, or, looking at the positive. I'm not looking at the positive, like, he learns coping skills here or there, and not looking at the positive that, I actually might be doing him more of a favor of like, not wanting to go to school because he has this class and this teacher, and he's just like, it has anxiety over it, right? Over him learning coping skills. Like, I just need to be looking at the positive, and I'm not looking at the positive. And the crazy thing is, I'm all thinking that this is because she said he needs to learn coping skills. And I think that like I'm feeling uncertain about my parenting because she said he needs to learn coping skills. But it's actually, I'm thinking that she thinks I'm a bad parent because he needs to learn coping skills, and I'm making a decision to take him out of the class. And, all of these things that I'm doing, I'm thinking are due to what she said, but it's what I'm thinking about what she said, right? Because she could say anything. She could say, yeah, Miss So-and-so is a BITCH and you should get him out of the class. But she's not saying that, and then I would have a totally different thought, and I'd be like, whew, she doesn't think I'm a bad mom. But I don't need to think that thought. I'm the one who's putting that into my head, right? And she said he needs to learn coping skills. Yes, it's a fact. He needs to learn coping skills. And I could choose any number of thoughts to think about that. And I could feel certain. That, yeah, he does need to learn coping skills. And he plays baseball and he's learning that there. I could have chose to think that. And then I wouldn't have had to take a nap. I wouldn't have had to get all this validation from my husband and, feel so drained and upset and ruminating on it. And it's all because of that one thought that she thinks I'm a bad mom, coming from her just saying he needs to learn coping skills. And what actually ends up being my result is I think I'm a bad mom. I'm the one thinking I'm a bad mom. I'm not being a good mom if I'm questioning my abilities and I'm feeling uncertain. My results are created from what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that she thinks I'm a bad mom. It's not necessary. It all could change with just changing one thought. And it could be, she thinks he needs coping skills. And guess what? I am the right person to teach him coping skills. Then I feel certain. And then I, find other ways for him to get coping skills. And I feel confident about my decision to drop that class. Look at that. It's all about thinking intentionally and, even just becoming aware that like all of this stress and frustration and uncertainty and just like, even while I was sitting there watching TV, I just felt down. And it was all coming from that thought that she thinks I'm a bad mom. How one thought could have so much effect on our lives is crazy. And this is why we need to coach ourselves and just like understand like what is behind what I'm feeling. And I'm sure you felt this before where it's like, oh, I just don't feel good. I feel down about something and I can't figure it out. Sometimes it's like something I didn't even realize. This I definitely realized because it happened like right afterwards. I just felt like whew, the air was taken out of my balloon and I was just not happy. But here I am today. And, I realized that it was the thought that she thinks I'm a bad parent. And I'm going to get to a better thought that when she said he should have learned coping skills, I'm going to get to the thought that, yeah, our family is the right one to teach him coping skills. And I feel pretty certain about that. Yeah, I'm good. So this is how easy it can be. Some thoughts you're not going to be able to get to that intentional thought as easy, but I think I'm able to get to that intentional thought. Like we're going to teach him coping skills in our home. And where better than in our home during that 1 hour that he's supposed to be in that class. So that's how coaching works. Talk about like what we're thinking and what we're feeling and all of the things that we're doing and not doing and understanding why and how we could possibly get to a better place with other thoughts. So I hope you learned from that. I hope you did not see that my brain is too crazy. Sometimes when we're like really bogged down with a feeling, you can, think some crazy thoughts. Everybody has a human brain. Everybody has the thoughts that are like natural. Some people have more positive natural feelings and thoughts, and some people don't. Let's say it takes work no matter what, and you can do it. Hope to see you soon.